Okay guys, here's the one you're all waiting for, the oil pump test. Jerry's on the camera today. We're gonna run this for 3 minutes. And when you do this on the bike, it's nice to wire this open. This way it allows you to walk around the other side of the bike. And one of the reasons we're gonna do that is because if you're doing a pump dry, it's nice to take the oil can and you're on this side of the bike, a little here, a little in the next carburetor. Now we're allowed to walk around the other side and give the left carburetor a little shot of oil. I just use regular motor oil because it smells different than the two-stroke oil. As soon as the two-stroke oil gets in there, you'll know it by the smell. I use the MC1 Plus as an assembly lube because it's concentrated, and I just use the regular motor oil. It's just for a couple seconds until the pump takes over. This is going to have to get washed on your bike. It's probably dirtier on the outside than the inside, and you're going to end up putting a new filter in it because some of the early ones, they have cracked in here where they meet the body of the tank, and it's got the filter in it. And don't forget the O-ring. The black ones, it's hard to see it. I forgot it once. On the black tanks, I had a problem one night. I came home, the whole bike was full of oil, and I said, where's that coming from? I don't run a grommet in my H2 in the side cover. I don't know why. And when I tell you to put silicone on something, we're going to put a dab of silicone on this banjo bolt down the end. So if it does leak or comes a little loose, it won't unscrew. And that's what happened to me that night, that this was getting looser and looser while you're riding. You're not paying attention. So you take silicone, you put 4 dabs of silicone between the glass and the black. That'll stop it from what happened to me. If it does leak a little bit, it's not going to unscrew while you're driving, all right? Same with the transmission drain plug. A little silicone between the drain plug and the case. That way, if something does leak, at least you know while you're going, it's not unscrewing even more. So this shoe here, where the cable goes through, remember the grease tweezer. You got to put a little grease on the shoe because the cable slides in and out of that. And when you push the tab down here to lock the cable, don't kill it. Just bring it down enough so the barrel doesn't slip out. You don't want to create that spot on the cable where it keeps bending and breaking, just like at your clutch lever. Always when you're done oiling your chain, shoot a little oil in the barrel of the clutch cable and the clutch lever. That way it keeps it nice and smooth. Right, so that's what we do here. You clean this out. Now, the hate mail will come in. Here's the Motion Pro shutoff. Even though I've done these check valves, and the number for me is 608,000, I take 2 X-Acto knives and stretch the springs. And you take a little plastic dowel, you glue an old ball to it, you put some toothpaste on it, you take a drill, and then you end up lapping in the seats of the check valves. That's our 3 minutes. You lap the seats of the check valves, but synthetic oil has a way of creeping. So, are they leaking? Sure, they're going to leak. Do I care? No, because I put the check valve in, the shutoff valve. This is a little Motion Pro. It's a 120035, and it gets a little dab of diesel silicone or epoxy. It sits right about here, and you hardly notice it. You could take the red off if you wanted, but so you don't forget, you just hang the key on it, okay? No key, no starty, no oily, all right? So every time you're ready to take the bike for a ride, boom. I have this on all the triples. I have it on the RZ. I have an MB5. And on the BSA, oh, you need it on the BSA. Did you ever ride with a British bike guy? Oh, you ready? No. I got to drain the oil at the bottom of the bike and pour it back in the top of the bike. Okay. Oh, we don't do that no more. We got a shut off on the BSA too. It needs about 10 shutoffs on the BSA. All right, so you're going to put this on. And look, we had a sick mom in the house. I didn't ride the bikes for a year, but I knew that when I was ready, they'd be ready. They wouldn't have the Valdez in the crankcase and bend the rod. So it's a tiny little thing. I know we don't ride them as much as we used to, and the oil is a lot. Synthetic oil creeps, and it's a necessity today to have this on these. Okay, that's that. This is the little finger that you make to stop the pump. Jared, get in here. Here, I'll bend it out of the way a little bit. You can see, you put it on the screw, you bend it up around, and this is what's going to stop the cam and the pump from going backwards. So when you're all done, you can put it in here, you get your cable, and you bend it so it stays at the idle mark and doesn't go backwards. This way you can put some slop in your cable and cut your pump back a little bit. Do they over oil? Sure they over-oil. Remember them British, those European dirt bikes, 16-to-1 oil mixture? And then when we were kids, the Jap bikes in the 70s, 20-to-1, 24-to-1. And then my KDX in 83, 32-to-1. Now, your weed whacker, anything, is 50-to-1. So did they over-oil? Sure, they're probably set up for about 20-to-1. So sure they over-oil. Can you use an H1 pump on an H2? Probably. That's the difference. You're only talking maybe, I have it written down here, about a cc at full throttle. And if these are double of what they are today with the good oil, sure, they over-oil. This is the little thingy I was telling you. If you break the tab off in the pump that holds the cam down, this is about the size of what you're going to need. And you put a longer screw here, a little piece of tubing, and then this sits right up here on top, and that's what holds the cam down. All right, that's been on my red bike probably for about 30 years. So you're using an external holder to keep that cam down in the pump. All right. Now, the last time I made this, I got hate mail. Guy said it looked like a cheesy piece of crap. He made this nice billet one with a screw. He did a great job. But when I wrote for High Performance Mopar in the 90s, I had to learn that not everybody has all of this in their house. So everybody's got tin snips and a little drill. So you can make a nice little sheet metal gizmo. It only holds this from going back too far. And this is a nice little thing to get if you do any sheet metal work. It's a Roper Whitney punch. It's got male and female dies, and it puts a nice little hole. They're about 30 bucks maybe at the flea market. Puts a nice little hole in sheet metal if you're doing sheet metal work, and you don't have to clean the hole up when you're done. It makes a nice little hole. So that's a great tool. All right, now we'll try to set these up. We'll see how our pump did. About 6.5. 6.5. And 6.5. Very rare that I have one, because we were talking about the you have one pump that supplies all three. So it's very rare that I have one that one has more delivery than the other. And our spec here is 6.7 to 7.5 on the H2. All right, so we're right in there. We're at 6.5. So, you know, given whatever this turns, we're right there. And believe me, that's enough oil. We're almost at 7. So it's good. The pump is good. Most of them that turn are good. Don't really have a problem with them not being good. Now we're going to run this again. So I want you to see how little oil comes out of these things at idle. And you got to wonder in your mind why they smoke so much. So now this is about 2,000 RPM. And this is 2,000 motor RPM. This is what you would be doing to test that. And with the tach, this is coming out to, this is saying 4,200. I don't think that's right. The problem with, and I'm going to show you something that you're going to laugh. Whenever you use a photo tach with fluorescent lights are usually 7,200, if you can believe that. So if I have to do anything critical in here, I end up shutting the lights off and just leaving a bulb on. So just be careful you don't get burned with a photo tach. I can't get with the lights on, I can't get the right thing. I thought this was 2,400. I had figured this out on the lathe to run at 2,000. Now, Jared, if you can get in here, let me wipe this one more time. So we're running at a little bit of a high idle here on, if the bike was running. Look how little at idle this thing pumps. So now you're going to get an idea when you have your oil can and you're trying to prime something. It just amazes me again how much they smoke with that little bit of oil. Look at that at idle. It's really nothing. That's not a lot of oil at idle. And then when we give it full whammy, now you can see the increase in oil. That's at full whammy, which still, you know, kind of blows your mind. You're going 80 miles an hour on a 90-degree day, and that's the only thing that stops the piston from sticking to the cylinder wall. It's amazing. It's really amazing, that little bit of oil. All right, so that's about what you got going on there. I can't give you the RPM. I'll see if we can fill it in later. But you can do this with a drill because you have all of this. And even if you didn't measure it and you just ran this with a drill, at least you know that this thing is pumping. Not that you got a $1,000 top end here. Nothing's cheap here anymore, you know that. Not that you got a $1,000 top end here and you don't know if you got something from the junkyard, you don't know if it's getting oil. But at least here, if you spun it, well, you can see you got a few drips here. And then when you give it the full whammy, you got a few more drips, all right? So at least you know in your mind that this is pumping and your lines are all charged and your pump is charged. This way, you're gonna get your oil as soon as you start the bike. You'll get some air bubbles, but you're gonna get your oil. Again, and don't fold your tabs on the triangle plate and take your bike for a ride with no cover on. I ride the bike the first day with no cover on here because I want to see what's going on. You want to see if you have any leaks, and you got to have that flashlight in your pocket or the sun on your back to look in there. You're going to stop a block away, 2 blocks away to make sure that these aren't full of air, because these damn things, sometimes they won't leak. They're like diesel fuel lines. They will not leak, but they will suck air in. See, and I lost a cylinder that way once. One of them, the triangle plates were too hard or something, and I just couldn't get them to seal. So that bike, I just have regular aluminum washers on it. So you ride this bike the first day, you get some heat into the pump and all. Then the next morning you come along with that big wrench I showed you, and then you're going to go over every one again, snug them up, then fold your plates, and then your little dab of silicone goes between here and here, just in case this comes loose, that it doesn't do what the oil tank did to me. All right, can you back the pump off? Yeah, you can back the pump off. My H1D, no lie, you can be going 60 some miles an hour, about 4,200, and the pump is still at idle. You can believe that. I don't know if that bike has weak check valves. I can't remember 20, 30 years ago if I did the check valves. But the bike is so bad, that's the ones you laugh at. It has that big windshield on in front. I was using it for my winter bike. I had to put baffle extensions on it because you put the windshield on, the back tire and spokes were dripping of oil. And that's with the pump sitting at idle. So again, these pumps are sucker charged. You're pumping into a vacuum. So if you do have weak checks, or I still say that the motor is helping suck the oil right through the pump. And that's got to be with the H1D because it oils. You would think sitting at idle, going down the road at 60 miles an hour, the thing would burn up, but no, it doesn't. That thing can pump some oil. And like I say, I have baffle extensions on it to try to get the exhaust away from the tire. You take the windshield off, it's fine, but that bike can smoke. So these are oil pumpers. It would be nice to have a newer style pump, but the technology, it just dried up with the emissions and all of that. So there's your little oil pump video, and I hope you helped you out with seeing what comes out of there. And it's pretty straightforward. And really, if you're going to do the bike, you know, turn the pump with a drill or something. You're going to turn the cable clockwise, all right? And if you're going to test the pump, underneath the pump is going to turn clockwise, all right? If you're going to run the pump with just the drill, I'd rather just run it here. And again, you don't use no gasket in here because we've seen the warpage, what happens where the little slug doesn't want to come out. And remember, if it doesn't come out, just take the little propane torch and heat it up and then push it out that way. You don't want to score anything. So if you have to take it out, just wisp it with a little heat. It's usually collapsed about 1,000 because it's only got 1,000's clearance in here. It's very tight fitting. If you want to take the slug out, just warm it up with a propane and then push it out, okay? That way you don't risk scoring anything. So I hope I've covered everything here. I wanted to get you that RPM, but I can't. So we'll see about that if I turn the lights out later. And let me just real quick, since we have the other light, let me just see quick if I can get you that. $24.56.
See that?
$24.56. $24.56 on the speed. So you need a drill that goes about 2,500 to do the test, which would be about 2,000 engine RPM at the 3 minutes. So 2450, 2,500. All right. So that'll simulate the engine RPM. Okay. So thank you, and we got a few more coming here, but not too many more. And then I hope that helps anybody out that's got an oiling problem. Thanks, guys. Till next time.